Hi there, it's Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today I have got the result of my little experiment into adhesives. If you were watching my video last week, I told you that I had made all these little boxes using different adhesives so that I could test out which ones are better for making boxes. And once we've taken these to pieces, I will then make a box using one of the ones that I think works for 3D projects. I don't know which one it's going to be, but so these have been made for roughly 3 days at the point where I'm filming this. And what I'm intending to do is rip them to pieces. So this is the one with snail, which I would never, I mean snail's now retired, but I would never recommend using snail for a box. So let's see. Now, just so that you understand how I made them, I put the adhesive on and I went 1, 2, 3 on the seam. So they all got the same treatment. So this is snail. And actually it's better than I thought it was going to be. It's not too dreadful. And we've had some fairly interesting weather. I mean, it's very easy to rip to pieces. Let me do the other one. Yeah, I mean, it's not difficult to rip to pieces, but it is tearing the card, which means that it has adhered to some degree, which I have to say is a surprise. I was expecting that to just fall to pieces. So that's snail. It's retired, so that's fairly academic anyway. We won't be using that. Okay, so glue, which since we haven't had fast fuse has been one of my preferred options. So this is our multi-purpose liquid glue. And I think this one's going to be a bit of... This one is really quite tough. I did expect it to, but I'm really having to have a go at it. So although it's still ripping the paper, looking very similar to snail, this is much harder work. It doesn't want to come to pieces. So, in fact, I'm going to have to really rip that one. Let's try the other one. Yeah, this is well and truly stuck. I am really having to give it some welly, and what's left is, I mean, this is, yeah, I'm ripping it so much that I'm ripping the box. So, glue, pretty good. I think I knew that. Tear and tape. So, I would expect this to be quite tough as well. Oops, and it is. So far, tear and tape and glue are pretty close to being the same. You can see where the tape is because there's a straight line there. So, but you can equally see, can you see? I don't know if you can. This is almost see-through, but I don't think you're going to be able to see it in the lights. Anyway, it is almost see-through. Oh, I know what I could use. Ha! Just had a thought what I could use to show you just how thin that bit's gone. Mobile phone. See what I mean? That is, yeah, whereas if I put it, I mean, that's what it would be on a normal piece of the card, and that's what it is with the tear and tape. Sorry, didn't mean to blind you. I think I might keep that there as a good test. Let's grab the others and do the same test. I know I've still got to demolish that. So let's have a look. This is glue, and again we've got areas that are quite thin. You can see, I'm hoping you can see that there are bits that are very thin. So that's, I must stop doing that. I'm blinding you. So that's glue. Snail, not so much. Snail is fairly even. So basically it's, all I've been doing is ripping the tape off. Let's remember not to blind you that time. So let me turn that off. So this again is tear and tape, and it's not great to get to pieces. Again, we're getting tape that's holding on to card, so we're getting double layers on some areas and really thin. Yeah, I mean, that is just paper now. So tear and tape, I think we knew was going to be good. Seal, which is supposed to be better than snail, but not as strong as fast fuse was. I have no idea what's going to happen. Okay, this is interesting. It's sort of coming away, but it is quite difficult. And what's interesting, and actually could be quite useful if you go wrong, is that it still seems to be sticky. I mean, I am ripping the card, but both sides are sticky, so it's breaking the adhesive. I've now got sticky fingers. It's breaking the adhesive from itself rather than ripping the card. And what happens now, of course, I rip the card. But that's quite interesting that it is. Can you see? I think you can just about see how that's pulling. The adhesive is actually pulling apart, but it is still sticky. So if you're sticking something, I don't think I would use it for a box, frankly, but if you're sticking something and you get it in the wrong place and you need to get it off, you're going to still have glue. So that is quite interesting. Where the snail, let me see if I can find the snail again. So the snail is a little sticky, but mostly not. It's not sticky like the seal was. Okay, so this is the other bit of the seal, and again we're splitting the adhesive rather than tearing the card, and the only reason I'm getting a tear in the card is at the corner where there's tension going in the wrong directions. That's tearing a little bit, but this is I think proving that seal is definitely better than snail. Right, Seal Plus. So this is supposed to be fast fuse on steroids. So let's see. That's pretty tough. Again, the adhesive is splitting itself, but that's pretty strong stuff. But again, oh no, I've ripped the card again, so that's going to be see-through. Oh, I didn't do the see-through test, did I, on the seal? That I think it's safe to say this is fast fuse on steroids. I'm really having to put some welly into this. Okay, let me see what we've got. So it's got a bit thin there. That's not too bad. I think it's going to be here that's going to be, yeah, this is the one that's going to be very thin. I didn't do seal, so snail. Seal, I think we're going to see mostly is not that affected because it's broken the adhesive rather than tearing the card. It's a little thin. Anyway, let's get rid of that so I stop blinding you. So that's Seal Plus, and I think it is fast fuse on steroids. Yeah, I'm now ripping the card. Yeah, I'm ripping the card. I think it's safe to say I'll be using quite a lot of Seal Plus on boxes because this is tougher than glue or tear and tape. So there we go. That was an interesting experiment. At least I thought it was interesting. So I'm now going to make a box with Snail Plus. So it's going to be exactly the same as the previous one. So 2 5-inch squares, except I've trimmed a 1/16 of an inch off one because that's going to be the base. but the other one is 5 inches square, and I'm just going to score, how are we doing for time? 10 minutes, yeah, we can do this. Score at 1 inch all the way round, and the same again. This is Bumblebee card, by the way, and I'm going to use the Flowers for Every Season designer series paper and the stamp set from the beginner brochure, which, if you remember, I have in all 3 languages that it comes in. So let's burnish. All of our score lines, and then I've got to remember which one is, actually I can do the cutting first, but then let's see which one is the larger one. Okay, so this is the lid, so I'm just going to put an L here because this is the larger one, just so that I know. Grab my paper snips, and I'm going to do my Catherine Wheel Special. I'm going to trim away the score line, so I'm going inside the score line and then getting rid of it, and just keep going round. There we go. Now I have to say what I tend to do, because I know where I'm going, is do the mitre and then the trim. But I would suggest that until you're comfortable doing that, you do the trim and then the mitre. So cut and then mitre. So that's the top for le for lid, or le for large, depending on how you look at it. And then this is the base. Ooh, cat hair. Pepper, who is our soppy boy, he's our black cat. Because I have skylights in my craft studio, and because it's getting quite warm today, it's not going to be as warm today as it's going to be later in the week, when we're going to be in the low 30s. However, because it's warm, I've had the skylights open, and I suddenly had this pathetic noise coming from the skylight, and it was Pepper going, "Why can't I come and see you?" Which he could, because the doors were open as well, but he seemed bemused. But he did then come down, and we then went on a little tour around the garden just so that he felt loved. So he sat on my shoulder. He's a bit like a parrot. He sits on my shoulder and digs his claws into the back of my shoulder, which is not particularly pleasant, but anyway. So I'm going to use seal to put the paper on, because I've got some of the lovely Flowers for Every Season paper. So this I've cut, so the box is going to be 3 inches square. This I've cut at 2 3/4 inches. Now I do find, I know they say you don't have to, I do tend to do a definite break with my seal. I have found that otherwise I can end up with a string, so I'm just being extra cautious. So I am pretending that it's a bit like fast fuse. That's almost central. But yeah, so these are, I want to say 5/8 of an inch. Yes, 5/8 of an inch by the same 2 3/4. And just for, this is where because I had that string, I've now got to get it going again. I'm only going to put a little strip on. So let's just pop that down. I could probably actually just put it on the card, which I think might be quicker. But yes, if I just stop, I do get this string. So I do a little bit of a check. It's probably my technique more than anything, but I do find that it works a little bit better for me that way. So I've got a slightly narrower top and bottom to end of my paper. if that makes sense. So that's all I'm using the seal for. Oh, it's too many words. And this is Seal Plus, and this you do not need to do the check mark on because it's got, can you see, can I show it? Can I get the light? Can you see that it's got little strips? So they're individual strips. You do sometimes just have to roll it forward a little bit just to get it going, but you don't need to do the check mark. What I would say is it is very strong, as we have just shown, so you kind of don't want it to be sticking to things accidentally. Just so you know. Yeah, I've got to get a technique for that. It's early days with it. I will get a technique, and when I have, I will pass it on. Now, if it comes over the edge, just fold it in. So all I'm going to do is fold so that my score line lines up with my cut line. And at this point, I'm going to hold this one in with my spare hand, so little finger is perfect for this, just so that I know it's not sticking to the card before I want it to. So that is that. And then for the base, again, we can just get it started and then just feed round. Whoops! And that's what I mean by you don't want, you want to just fold that end in. I seem to have that as a natural thing. It feels much more like a fast fuse container than snail, and I do mean snail this time, so I'm tending to treat it as if it's fast fuse. So little finger, fold in the bit that's over the edge. Oop. Now what I did before was just 1, 2, 3 on all of the, I always think it's good to do that, whatever adhesive you're doing, whether you're using glue, tear and tape. As you probably know if you've been watching me for any time on the subject of which, don't forget to subscribe, it's just there if you don't already. I always burnish my tear and tape down. So there's our little box, and I had the stamp set. Oh, I buried it, because I got this stamp set in all the languages as part of something I was doing with Stamping Up. So I've got a scrap of, because this isn't meant, I've got a scrap of Whisper White, and I'm going to use, I'm just going to use the head of the daisy, and I only really want it as a background. You can see it's been well loved while I was doing the work for them. So, Bumblebee, and I need a scrap of paper because I want to stamp off. So I'm just going to ink up the head of the daisy, and stamp off. Let's see what happens if I stamp off 3 times. I might go 3, as in stamp off twice and use the 3rd generation. So 1, 2, and actually that's not going to be quite the right size. That's not good enough. I had a whole load of scraps on my desk just now, and they've all disappeared. Okay, I will make the one that I didn't think was going to work. So we'll go, oh, I know what I can use. We will go there. I'm then going to punch it out with this punch, which I think will be about the right size. yes, marvellous. Love it when a plan comes together. And then, so that's that. I then want, thank you, there we are, that's thank you. And that I'm going to do in full strength, just there. So there we are, thank you. And then close that up, and I'm going to grab the punch again, and I'm going to come in to that corner and punch a hole, and I'll grab some linen thread, I think. Now, linen thread sometimes comes on a card and sometimes doesn't. If it comes on a card, straighten it out with your bone folder, and then we can get rid of those scrappy bits. And I just want to go round here a couple or so times. Yeah, just a couple will be fine. Clip there. And then before I tie that, I'm going to add this to my ribbon, well, twine, thread, whatever we're going to call it, and then I can tie this in a bow. Oops, not tight enough. Am I the only person that's bow challenged under pressure? There we go, and then I can slide that back up a bit and make it all look pretty. And there we are, a little box using my new favourite 3D adhesive, Stampin' Seal Plus. Really, really tough stuff. So, thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope that helped. I will be back, this should go live at 8 o'clock in the morning UK time, and then I've got my coffee and card live over on my Facebook business page at 11, and then my spot challenge inspiration piece goes live at noon. So it's a busy old day today. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you found that interesting, helpful, and all that good stuff. And I will see you again very soon. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And I will see you again later on today, probably. Bye!